So it is the March month on the calendar, and it is the Pisces lunar cycle. And as you know, every lunar cycle, I offer an energy flow plan, and part of that is pulling in a gene key from the deep teachings of Richard Rudd and the gene keys, and that every human has, these 64 genetic expressions, and those genetic expressions could operate for us in our power, or they could operate for us kind of if we're feeling commotional about it, and showing up in kind of a darker state, if you will. Not that this is good or bad or there's judgment. It's just simply looking at, our animalistic nature, our human nature, and then our angelic nature. And so I love creating a gene key experience for the month and just kind of looking at one way to lean into the more angelic state of this human expression. So this month I pulled from my deck, and tribute to Rosy Aaronson for this beautiful oracle deck of the different 64 gene keys, and then an amazing Wisdom Keepers book to go along with it, which I'm going to read from. And I pulled gene key number 22, which is in the gift state, graciousness. In the angelic or the citic state, it is grace. And if we're showing up kind of in the commotion of things in life, it could show up for us as dishonor. So I'm going to read the parable here, and I love the face of the character whose voice I'm about to read from this wonderful book. And again, credit to Rosy Aaronson and Richard Rudd for these wonderful teachings. I was born into a well-respected family that cared a great deal about its reputation, but beneath the veneer, there was a terrible dysfunction. When my body began to change into a beautiful young woman's body, an admired family member abused me sexually. I felt too afraid and ashamed to tell anyone what was happening. Instead, I tried desperately not to feel. Whenever a forbidden feeling arose in my heart, I'd throw myself on the floor and pray that God would make me good and pious. Because I showed such unusual religious fervor for a young girl, I was sent to a secluded monastery to live a modest life of study and prayer. Relieved to be in a safe place, I gladly renounced all material things, took a vow of celibacy, and dedicated my life to selflessness. To all at the monastery, I was a proper, calm, and balanced woman, and a keen listener. But on the inside, I often seethed with inappropriate feelings that I couldn't bear to accept, much less express. I distrusted my pain, rejected my beauty, hated my needs, and judged my desires. I couldn't say no to requests for support, even when I was sick. I felt disgust at even the tiniest bit of passion, anger, or sexual feelings within me. One day, during a prayer group, a sister bravely shared about an experience of having been raped as a child. In the midst of her sharing, my body was hit by a tidal wave of memories, humiliation, and shame. Instead of looking up to God and praying for the feelings to go away, I buried my head in my hands and sobbed. For the first time in my life, I shared about what had happened to me. I hid nothing from anyone, not even myself. As the pain, shame, and loneliness of my past erupted out of my throat, I felt a kind of light and love descend into my chest, one I'd never experienced in all my days of prayer. And when I opened my eyes, I was met with such love, compassion, and respect that it felt like the entire cosmos was singing. Now I regard myself as deeply as I regard others. I no longer need to hide my beauty, dishonor my boundaries, or withhold my feelings to engage graciously with the world. My gift to you. I've come to tell you that there is nothing in you that is unworthy of love or of reverence. The very things you think you should hide or get rid of are exactly what you need to be seen, felt, and expressed. Push nothing away. Transparency is the ultimate path towards grace. Be unwaveringly gracious toward every part of yourself, every feeling, every painful experience. By honoring all that is within you, you will experience the poetry and music of even the most agonizing moments. You will naturally find yourself being gracious toward others, touching their emotions, hearts, and souls with the milk of human kindness, and they will bloom in your presence. At your core, you are a gloriously unique manifestation of grace. Honor your suffering, and you will discover your gift to the world. And of course, questions for contemplation. Are there ways that you dishonor yourself or others? On the outside, do you appear kind, balanced, and a good listener, but inside, do you feel angry, resentful, or full of forbidden desire? Have you ever held so much inside that you exploded? What were the consequences to yourself and those around you? Think of a part of you, a feeling or experience that you reject as bad or inappropriate. How can you embrace it? How can you bring more graciousness into your life? And I'll leave it with that.